Okay, so let's talk about Egypt.
All right, let's talk about Egypt. That's great. So
So
you went to Egypt.
I did. I went to Egypt, and okay, so to preface this, I already knew, and I already thought that, like, did a bunch of slaves, like, you know, get beaten into submission to build these giant pyramids for some pharaohs. Like, that was never, and even when I was a little kid, I was kind of going like, yeah, okay. But so you're saying that the pharaohs would be dead before it was finished, and the whole story, the narrative never really made sense to me. And I was kind of like, well, but that's a very big tomb. That's interesting. So I already had that before I ever went, and I already knew that. And then plus I've been on alternative history things for a long time, and I went with an alternative history like tour group. Yeah. I mean, like, I said, podcast I listened to called Earth Ancients, and I love it. And it's always about, like, kind of like alternative views on, like, what's really going on. So I had that going on, right? But here I am, the very first day we walk up to, I see the pyramids from my hotel room, like the Giza pyramids, and I'm just like, oh yeah, they're awesome, that's great. Like, Instagram, even though I don't have Instagram, but, you know, like, total, like, whatever. I go up to the Bent Pyramid the very first day, and, like, even as I'm walking to it, I'm going like, wow, this is huge. This is great. When as soon as you get to it and you put your hand on it, you're like, oh, we didn't build these. Yeah, we didn't build these. Like, before, like, even when I saw it from, like, the street and I'm walking up to it, I don't have that thought exactly. I'm just kind of like a little bit mesmerized. But, like, you know, when you're looking at a picture of a pyramid, it always looks like there's sand and dirt all over them, and that there's all this, like it looks like they're big blocks. They basically look like giant sand to me, and then there looks like there's wind that has blown a bunch of. There's not a grain of sand on any of them. That's just, they were melted, like, and they weren't melted from the sun. That's always there. There was, like, a nuclear blast. They were machines that had nuclear meltdown, or there was, like, a solar flash, or something melted them to make them look like that.
It wasn't restoration, right? Because I've seen pyramids in Mexico that are restoration, and they kind of have that weird melty look.
No, this is not, like, and actually that might be not the restoration. That might be the thing that needs to be restored. Like, the melty look is, like, some kind of, there was some traumatic event that happened to the granite. It is great. They are made of granite. They aren't made of sandstone. They aren't made of it. Like, they are made of the hardest stone that we have on the planet naturally, granite. And
this one is constructed. This one is bedrock. 1, 2, 3 levels of bedrock. If there is more bedrock inside, for sure. But we cannot take the blocks out to understand how further or how deeper or how higher it goes. So they never flatten the base. So the pyramid was playing as like 2 mountains, the sides, and deep shaft in the middle, and then they built the pyramid like a fork to be very connected. Okay? Now
so this stuff is hard as rock. It is, like, it's, I don't know what, granite. That's kind of weird looking. That looks rather constructed. Yeah, it's stone, y'all. It's no sand involved in any of this. It's very granity. When you get up there, you put your hand on it, you feel it, you're like, wait, oh, how much do these weigh? And then it's like, oh, okay, they weigh between 70 to 150 tons. Okay, so what, a ton is 2,000 pounds? So, like, 70 times 2,000. So they were like 140,000 pounds to 150 times 200 to 300,000 pounds each. Yeah.
Crazy.
Like, who can move that? Like, it doesn't matter if you have some logs and some slaves on a pulley. Like, you're talking about, like, you'd have to have thousands of people moving one block, and then, like,
right.
The other thing for scale, like, you don't understand. I'll put a photo up here, but They're as big as cars. They're bigger than me. I'm 5'4", and they're like the same size as me. Like you don't realize each stone that makes it up. And then there's things like there's obelisks and stuff and all over. They've found a ton of obelisks. Not that many remain because they've been pillaged and they've gone all over the world. But they're like there's like mini obelisks that are 750 tons to there's one that's 1,200 tons. And you're going, wait, 1,200 tons. Like, I wish they would just tell me the pounds so that I can be even more. 1,200 times 2,000. So it's 2,400,000 pounds. And it's
2,400,000 pounds or 400 pounds? 2 million pounds, whatever. Who cares?
2.4 million pounds. 2.4 million pounds. Okay. Wow. And you're talking about like
an obelisk. Wow.
An obelisk. That is one piece of granite. And it's got no cracks or no flaws or anything in it. And then they're kind of going like, and our tour guide, Mohamed Ibrahim, he pointed out that to even get a piece of granite that doesn't have any fractures in it,
right,
you would have to dig at least like 500 feet underneath the ground to like even have that solid, beautiful piece of granite that exists. It's like, so a couple of things are going on. Either these people had, and by these people, I am now, after seeing them, touching them, feeling them, under the belief that what happened was there was a group of beings or people or something that created ancient Egypt before the dynastics. The dynastics, I think, are responsible for the hieroglyphs, and I think they came in and they reappropriated everything. They were like,
sure,
hey, yeah, man, let's, whatever. But, and they lived amongst them, but they did not build them.
So what age are they built? What age are they dated back to? The original build?
They say they're built 5,000 years ago.
Oh, they say that, right?
They say that. But here's the other thing. Now I don't even bother like even
dating,
entertaining. I don't even entertain the dates that they have. No, it's
right.
Just like, no. I do believe that even when you go to the Sphinx, you can see there's the water damage around the Sphinx. There was a cataclysm. There was a giant flood, or maybe it was nuclear fallout. I don't even know. It could have been a solar flash, could have been there was a giant cataclysm. And like a lot of people, like Graham Hancock, a lot of people kind of say, like globally, it kind of points to about, the ending of the Younger Dryas, so 10 to 12,000 years ago. Okay, so like let's say that. But before that, I think there was this bustling civilization. Maybe it was the same civilization that Atlantis was, the same kind of people. I don't really know. But they either could melt stone, like as if it were, clay or something, or like it was metal, or they could levitate stone, or they had a kind of technology the way we have electricity or something. They had a kind of technology we do not have anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you're seeing with hieroglyphics and stuff like that is you're seeing a new wave of people that have come and reappropriated it and give their interpretation of what happened. But even then it's
right, like secondhand. They probably, if they weren't the direct doers of it, then it's at least secondhand knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they're in their interpretation of it.
So, I mean, there's so many weird anomaly things that I didn't even know about Egypt before I went. Like, I went to this place called the Serapeum, and it's in Saqqara, and it's got these 23 giant, huge boxes. They call them sarcophagus, but there was never any bones ever found in them, and they're like 18 people could fit in one. They're like huge. They're like the size of buses basically, and it's really hard to tell from the photos because
to get it in the picture.
Yeah, just to get it in the picture. First of all, those things weigh, I can't remember the exact, like how much like they were told they weigh, but they're like way bigger than any block on the pyramid, right? So
and how far are they from Giza?
They're probably 30 minutes south of Giza. And they're like these big battery cells or something. They used to have the lids on them, but the lids aren't closed now. And they're set, like none of them face each other. So it'll be like a room here, and then the room across it is empty, and then the next room on the other side has one in it, but the one across from it is empty. So they like zigzag like that with like, and there's 23 of these giant boxes in the middle of nowhere, and there's no hieroglyphics on them or anything like that.
So huge.
Unlike here, you can see how the machine cut the square on its grade. Sharp, you know, once the edges, one nail was touching the edge, it was like a knife. It cut my finger.
But I don't think they knew what those were for, but they did, like, they were some kind of machinery. There was some, there was some kind of functionality.
Right, like you said, maybe a battery pack or like an energy center for moving the blocks at the pyramid, or who knows. But so you say rooms though, so that they were rooms, and then these boxes were inside the rooms, or these boxes. Okay.
And the rooms aren't very much bigger than the boxes. Like it's like maybe, you know, like 3 or 4 feet around each box. So even with that, like let's say you had like people couldn't technically. Enough people to move that couldn't technically move those boxes into that room because there's not even enough room in the room for you to push them.
So what's the room made out of, and what are the boxes made out of?
The box is 100% granite. The rooms are like kind of carved into the bedrock.
Crazy.
It's just crazy. Like you feel weird. Like you feel energy, you feel weird. Like I went into 4 different pyramids. The bent pyramid, the red pyramid, the great pyramid, and this other little pyramid next to the bent pyramid. You feel super weird inside of them. And even when you're around some of these temples that we went to or whatever, like I got a ton of ringing in my ears. Like some of them would make me feel sick. Some of them I felt like, oh, I'm the king of the world. Like I felt like amazing. They emit something even still. Oh, and then, so like not too far from the Serapeum, there's this thing they call the hospital. It's right next to the step pyramids. And it's, there were these 14, now there's only 5 that exist, but there were these 14 cutout holes in the wall, and you walk up to them and they each have a different hum. And it's not like oh, Nikki hears a hum in her head. No, it's like, they're like, here, I'll play the video.
Okay, so I'm going to go into this thing, see if you can hear this it starts humming. Humanly, I can hear it right now. Can you hear that? When you go into these boxes, it's like a hum. No?
It's like, there's a vibration, there's a sound to them. There's
yes, you played it for me. You sent it to me, and I heard it, but definitely play it for everybody.
Okay, I'll definitely play it for everybody. But like, and you're kind of going like, what is this?
What's up?
And our tour guide's like, oh, there's like water table under the ground or something. But each 5 that I went into, I only recorded 1, but they all have a different sound and like a different kind of pulsing to them, and a different. And I know that could be because maybe each was built a little differently or whatever, but I don't know what's going on with that. But that was like interesting that this is like some sort of high technology that's still kind of working, like however many
and those are
1,000 years ago.
Like square, rectangular, like what?
Yeah, they're just like they're I don't know. It's like you're walking it's a square room, and it's open, and you walk in, and as soon as you stick your head in the little like altar area, except just the little box, it's like boom, 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 boom. And you're like, the hell is this? I had never heard about that before I went to Egypt, ever. Like, never heard of that.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, there's definitely a hum. Okay, let's see. Can you hear that? It starts like really right here.
And going back to those big like boxes, Serapeum, were you able to go in them?
Well, you're not supposed to, but you pay, like, that's the other thing about Egypt is like you pay anybody enough money, they'll let you do whatever. So yeah, like we paid off some guards, and then I jumped into them, and I was feeling like the coffin top, I was feeling at the sides, the base, everything. It's like, they weren't put together. It wasn't like, oh, this block was glued onto this block that then was made into a big square. It's like, no, they took a giant piece of granite and perfectly carved it out and polished to a level that's like would be, you'd have to have machinery to do today. You just would have to.
Do you think they're giants? Like, I'm picturing like a giant people civilization that's just like a little cup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like a little ceramic cup. Like, they're just drinking out and put a cover on it. Do you think, did you get a feel of like,
I 100%
giants?
think they are giants, 100%. Like, my mom totally thought it. I thought it. My mom kept on saying it, and I was like, I was like, oh, shut up, Mom. I don't want to, just because she thinks it, I don't want to. But yeah. They were giants. And like, why haven't we found their bones? I don't know. Have we found them and they've just been discarded? I don't know. But yes, I think they were bigger than we were, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, assuming also that they had bones, you know, we always think in terms of like what we know, like these beings in this third dimension have to have bones or whatever, but we don't really know what they even looked like. I mean, how they would have existed.
I think, yeah, I mean, I also think that I heard that Serata guy, that he's like the shaman guy from Colombia. He says that the first two races of beings on the planet were more etheric, you know, like they, you know, were kind of more in their astral body than their physical body. And I don't know, like, okay, well, I don't know why that has to be completely disregarded. Right.
Wow, crazy. So tell us more. What else was like something that you
Okay, so then the siren, I went there. That's like underground, super weird. It has this green fungus stuff that grows there, only there.
What do you mean? Wait, where? Like on the ground?
Like
on
in
the
this
walls?
Water, like around.
Wait, so tell us about the place also. Like,
okay, so the place, this is where the oldest flower of lives were found.
So it's the oldest flower of life. Interesting. Where's Jeff?
So it's a megalithic. Megalithic means like giant stones that people couldn't move today. All right, or at least that's my new definition. I just decided to say that's what the definition is right now. It's built, it's constructed so similar to like Sacsayhuaman and places I've been into Peru. I was like, oh, okay, so this is whoever built Peru also built this place. It's underneath the Ardindara. That's like the temple and it is the temple of Hathor, and that's it's like underneath that. So that is even that's okay. And that is an amazing temple. Everybody should go there in their lifetime, because that's the one where you have the hieroglyph of like the UFO and the helicopter and the submarine. It's like you have that hieroglyph there.
And it's the UFO.
Okay, so what are the
helicopter.
Helicopter and submarine and tank and UFO? No. I'm not denying, and I think I'm the only one who has this opinion. I mix between the two stories. We have two groups of them. One say, yes, this is true helicopter. Other group, the academics say no. There are two layers of writings above each other, and this is true. Because when you look to the cartouche on the left side, you will see layers of writings, because King said first called his name, and then his son Ramses came and carved his name above the name of the father.
And that's on this big giant temple. But even that is so weird, because it's like that was actually my favorite temple, I would have to say. It's like the ceiling is made of megaliths, like these giant sandstone things that couldn't have been, like every tower, every column, you're just going like, wait, how did they construct this? And then, yeah, I think other people may have carved in on it and done other stuff, but no, it was, anyway, so the Osiris is behind that and down. It's in the same complex, but a little bit further down. And that was like covered and buried. And it's like this waterway of, I don't even know what it was for. I really don't even understand. Oh, I will say this though, and this is crazy, but when I was there, I kept on thinking like, oh, this is a portal. It was a portal. Like whoever came there, like they would be able to leave in and out. That's what I felt. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's like without being told anything, I instantly thought that it was where beings would come and go.
Cool. So there's a water body, and there's only this moss that grows only there.
Okay, can you see that?
Oh yeah. It's like a pool of water.
Yeah, but this pool grid goes quite a ways around, and like this is like the building blocks, so they look just like Peru. There's not hieroglyphics or anything on them. I don't think the dynastics even really went down there too much. Let's see. So when you're walking down on it, it's underground. They fit this waterway. It's like all the way around. There's like a bunch of little tunnels. It goes down like 100 feet. Further. They don't even know where the water comes. Half the time this place is flooded. We just happen to be there when it wasn't. They don't know what causes it to flood or not. It hasn't rained in Egypt. Like it doesn't rain in Egypt. Egypt is just, it's like super desert.
Wow. So there's like a spring somewhere, maybe that's
there's like an underground like water table spring or something that comes up, and then
maybe that's the spring of eternal life.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink that though, but yeah, maybe. And this was bizarre. Like the flower of lives they're chemically etched onto the stones, which, dang it, it's just not gonna work. I'm inserting these photos, yes, and you'll get to see them then.
Yeah, you sent that to me too. I saw that. Cool. So that's etched. Yeah, I was reading about that after you sent that to me. So chemically etched, that's what they called it, but it's not quite chemically etched. But anyway, yeah, there's.
And then there was a little room on the offshoot of it when you go in, and it has Newt, which is the god of the sky, and it has all these like hieroglyphics and stuff on the inside of the ceiling, but it has never been open to the public. So that's where I felt like, hey, I'm Indiana Jones. Like, we're getting in there, getting to look at some stuff that has just opened up because of access, because the water table is down, that you can even access it. Within the last like 4 or 5 months, it has just been in there. So we got to go in, and I'll put some video of that up. It was super fascinating.
Because we see it much in the Greco-Roman temples. We didn't see it in any of the Egyptian temples or the ancient Egyptian. Until we get inside this place. If we agree, and of course we don't, this is from the New Kingdom time. So this is the oldest representation for Nut. Nut, the lady of the sky, is doing what? Swallowing the sky, the solar disk. Okay, this is now sunset. And there it will give birth to the same disk, sunrise. So this is the time between sunset and sunrise, which is what we call it the Duat time, means the afterlife. So here we are in a place, all the texts and all the stories about the afterlife. And the word afterlife is not necessarily about death. No, it could be also about astral information.
So part of me like that. Okay, so first of all, the group I was with was like very like, they were awesome, but I don't think they were into the alien slant of things, because they kind of think it's a cop out. And I kind of like, I don't.
So what were their thoughts about it then?
Well, they just sort of think that I guess if they had to summarize the entire thing of Egypt, a lot of people were under the conclusion that, yeah, like there were these catastrophes, and that we're kind of losing information with time because of these catastrophes. So almost like devolving, like forgetting, kind of.
Like
Yeah, or
forgetting?
even that like we were more technologically advanced and physically superior in the past than we are today.
Okay,
And
so people think that maybe humans did it, but there was a technology that allowed them to move these types of things that
it
we
was
don't
lost with this giant tsunami catastrophe,
cataclysm.
whatever,
Yeah.
flood, cataclysm. Yeah. And that's cool and stuff. And that's, I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't really know.
But okay, so then
Either way, there's something missing. Either
Oh,
than
yeah.
the regular narrative. Either way.
and then like
Yeah.
here's the other angle that like nobody really talked about, but it was like just staring you in the face all the time. There's so many like their gods and stuff are just like lion heads and bird heads, jackal heads, and like they're like half human, half some other kind of weird animal. Like they have beetle heads, like insect heads, like crocodile heads, like
Right.
that kind of goes into the whole narrative of like the alien agenda in it now. I mean, like there's like the lyre and lion beings that like I've had dreams about. There's like there's all kinds of insectoids, like praying mantis beings. There's that
Right.
people talk about. There's the draconian, like the alligator type, like dragon kind of people.
Right.
There's, you know, whatever. There's like Native Americans talk about like dog star people or like werewolves, and like there's I'm just saying like maybe that stuff is, yeah, it's a metaphor for life or something, or maybe it's not, but maybe there's some literalization to it a little bit.
Well, my thought that just popped into my head was maybe that was like a central location for the intergalactic community, like a council center, like the UN would be. Maybe that was there, and all those beings were represented, you know, in etchings or.
Yeah, it really could have been a Stargate.
Right.
Oh, and that's the other thing. There's a lot of examples of like the literal translation going into certain rooms on different temples, and I took a bunch of the pictures of them, was Stargate. Like that's like, I mean, I think that's what inspired those movies and TV shows or whatever. Like that actually exists, and they're like, I'm not sure that it works,
right.
but yeah.
Well, then that makes sense that then that's a portal, you know, because what is a Stargate really?
That's what I interpret it as. Then there's other things like there are all these really interesting hieroglyphics of like big guys. That's the other thing. The scale, if you look at it, it looks like, you know, these half animal, half human gods are like giants, and all the other little people are little people. So, I mean, there could be that. And they move stuff. Like there's a bunch of hieroglyphics of them like lassoing temples, and it looks like almost like with a rope and or like a little tiny rope in between, which our tour guide kind of interpreted it as energy. And they would in one hieroglyphic, the temple would be up, and then the next one with the same lasso, the temple is down. So it's kind of like showing you that, yeah, they move these with energy.
It goes to alchemy, it goes to biology, I'm not sure about this. Engineering, yes. Not the atomics.
No, biological.
Yes.
You have the golden ratio in there as well, on the other side. The rectangle, but down there at the bottom, down at the bottom. Right there, right, yes, yes.
Levitating that with energy.
This means the place, the house.
But also it's the golden ratio.
Golden ratio.
And the giants were the ones moving it,
The giants are the ones moving them.
and the little people who might be us are doing
like,
what?
"Yay! Would you like
Thank
a
you. I
drink?
prefer that over there. I really wanted to move that.
Thank
over there.
you. Yay.
Cool. There are
Yeah, so like that made you kind of go like, what? The current people who live in Egypt aren't the best stewards of the land. Like there's the last temple we went to is like Abu Simbel or whatever. It's like, it's in Indiana Jones and stuff. It's like, you would see it. Here, I'll put a picture. You know what, you've seen that place before. That was moved in the 60s. The lake was going to cover the entire thing, so they literally took it apart piece by piece and like cut everything up and moved the temple like, I don't know, however 100 feet above where it was. And that just like completely pissed me off. I was like, what? Like, you don't take whoever knows how many 1,000-year-old beautiful thing, which is probably the main tourist attraction that gets anybody to come down here, and move it because it's not conveniently located for you. Move the lake or you don't build the lake up there, or you move some barricade that keeps it from doing that, or you let the lake take it. Like, you don't, I don't know. I got so pissed off by so many things. There's like, between the Luxor temple and the Karnak temple, there was this road that had all these sphinxes, like thousands of little sphinxes, and thousands, like 5, 6, I don't know how many thousands. There's like very small percentage of them left, because people would just be like, for the last 100,000 years, be like, yeah, I'll take a sphinx in my house. And they would just like, they just pillaged and they loot it. And they like, there's a lot of, throughout the ages, throughout the times, that people have any stone or any, I mean, like there's tons of where they've gone in and just erased the faces of stuff and just ruined all the hieroglyphs and all those carvings. I mean,
oh, that reminded me of something. I just was watching this show on gold. You know how we were just talking about gold recently? Oh, right. And I was like, and like, could you actually make gold? So I was watching something on Gaia, and they said that, where was it exactly? Oh, this was in South Africa, but there was a mining company that was like, okay, let's go find some gold, but they dug down and found all these shafts and corridors under wherever they were digging that were connected, like these tunnels that were connecting to other tunnels. So the workers stopped their work, reported it back to the mining company people, and they were like, what are we going to do? We just found this like ancient
mine or whatever. Or
it was, well, that's what they were wondering, was it an old mine originally? But they were these elaborate tunnels, like extensive tunnels, and they were just told to like, well, dig on top of, like cover it up and do what you got to do to get to where we need you to go. So it's just, that's the way it always is in history. If you see something and they have another purpose for why they're there, they're just gonna bury it up, make it disappear.
That hurts my heart.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. We'll have to do that. Our next podcast, or another one in the near future, can definitely be about alchemy and gold.
And gold, yeah. And I do think there is something to the mercury being able to be turned into gold, because there's like those big giant pyramids in China that no one has access to, like where all the terracotta warriors were found. There's apparently like a giant lake or a giant underground river of mercury.
And they just found the same thing in Teotihuacan, exactly, outside of Mexico City. They found mercury reserves under there. I don't remember which pyramid it is, but under that site. Within the last couple of years, that was found out about. And the whole thing about the gold, well, we won't go into that now, but it is interesting that it was under pyramids, or at least that one was under a pyramid. I don't know if it's like the terracotta. I don't think there's actually a pyramid there, or I could be wrong. I don't know if there's pyramids there.
I mean, there's a hill that they say is a pyramid underneath it, but I mean, right. that one's really hard to know because it's very restricted, like
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. With these pyramids, it is interesting that they're like, people like always are lining them up with the ley lines and all that. And I'm not 100% sure what that means for anybody, but like they do say there's a lot of pyramids on the Tropic of Cancer in that like around the world. I don't know. I do just think they're so weird. And it's like, it is just like magnets. Magnets is like, oh, look, kids, look, there's a north side and there's a south side, and you can put them on your refrigerator and they hold paper. And it's really, really cool. And then we're glossing over that. That's the last time we'll talk about magnets. You can play with them a little bit in the first or second grade. And then that they don't talk about them in high school. They don't talk about them in college, really. Like
Right.
they're never really
No,
looked
unless if you're getting into the mechanical engineering that you need magnets for.
Right.
Like they
And
do
even
use
then-
magnets a lot, but even then, it's
but
limited
even
to
then
that.
it's like it's still not, I mean, that we don't really know what magnetism
We don't
is,
really
why
know.
it exists,
Right.
and all that stuff. It's like a whole thing we just kind of gloss over. Same thing with Egypt. It's like, yeah, guys, we had these pig pyramids that these pharaohs built with slaves, and they used to walk like this, real funny like, and then they had all this eyeliner on. Can you believe the eyeliner?
Right.
And
That was
we liked mummies. We liked mummies. Okay, that's good. That's what that history was. Let's move on to the Civil War. I
remember learning it as the birthplace of civilization, pretty much. Like, okay, the Crescent Valley, and that, I guess that wasn't even in that area. That was like Saudi Arabia. But we did learn about Egypt during that time frame. Like, the Nile River flooded over, and there was it was a very fertile area, and every year it would flood, and that's how they farmed, and that was that.
yeah, but the thing is it's like I don't know. I don't really know that many people. I have a cousin and then a couple of flight attendants that I've flown with that have been to Egypt, and like, no, other than that, it's kind of fallen off the radar of people, I think, in a large way. It used to maybe be bigger in the 1930s and stuff, but or I don't know when it was bigger, but and I guess there's a whole, it's dangerous over there.
Right. The political instability really, yeah. That whether or not that was true, it was people's feeling, and people tended to not go there because of that.
But I having been there, I think it's like, it's pretty, I would say, my opinion, for what it's worth, is like, I've traveled many places. It's the most important place I've ever traveled, and it's a human rite of passage. I think every human being alive should, at some point before you die, go see them and go touch them. And don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to dates. Just what do you think it is? What do you think is going on? Because it is a mystery of history, and it is something where you're going like, oh, actually, what really did happen here? Because if you really start doing math on weights and you start seeing these things in their real construction, you're not going to buy the current Giza Plateau guy. We got an audience with him. He was saying that, we don't think they're built with slaves anymore because we found doctors' offices. So obviously they cared enough about their people to, have doctors. But now we think they're built on beer and sunshine. They just they didn't have money, but they gave them beer. And I'm going like, what? Like, he literally said that. I have video of him saying that. I'll put it up here right now.
Every day we have a new discovery. All these monuments, temples, tombs, only 30% of our monuments and artifacts, it means 70% is still uncovered yet. Thanks for God, I have a work in the future because we have to uncover all of this. Okay? A few months ago, I was guiding American First Lady, Melania Trump, inside the Great Pyramid. And she did asking me a very important question. Who were the builders of the pyramids? Aliens, Atlantis people, be of outer space? Because every day we are hearing a new theory about aliens, Atlantis people. Actually, in 1990, we had a great discovery. American tourist was riding a horse in the desert behind this mountain there. Because this mountain, you see the palm tree? There's a mountain there. So behind this mountain, we have American tourist was riding the horse, and the leg of the horse fall down in the hole. So what we did excavation, we just cleaned the sands. We found the workers' tombs, the builders of the pyramid tombs. How we could know? Those tombs for the builders. We found their names and their titles. We did discover the tomb for the chief of the workers. He was married 2 wives and he got 18 kids, busy guy. 2 wives and 18 kids for the chief of the workers. Between the workers' tombs, we found something really amazing. We found a tomb for a doctor. Oh my gosh, doctor? 4,600 years. We had a tomb for a doctor. Some people said building a pyramid by slaves. If we had slaves, why? We need a doctor to treat them. You can throw them away and bring more and more slaves. Actually, they weren't slaves. They were workers, and we give them salaries. I'm talking about 4,600 years. What kind of money? There's no money in this early time. So we give them beer, bread, and salted fish as a salary. Beer, bread, and salted fish as a salary for workers. And this doctor, he did something really amazing. He did a brain surgery. 4,600 years, we had a brain surgery. How we could know? We found the skull of this worker, and there's a hole in the skull. And we found his surgical instruments, his surgical tools made from flint. And the son of this worker completed his father's tomb, and he mentioned that his father lived after the surgery 3 years. I'm always saying, in my lectures, if you can build a pyramid, you can do anything, even a brain surgery, even a brain surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So what about your, like, okay, you told us a little bit about how you felt when you were there, when you touched it, but like, tell us about the dreams that you had while you were there.
Okay, so when I was with the Sphinx, like I walked up to her, we got to stay 2 hours in the Sphinx Plateau, or in like I got to, like, I mean, I was right underneath the paws. Like, I walked the whole thing. I got to see like the little tunnels in it and stuff that most people don't get to do. It was really amazing. Instantly there's a feminine energy about the Sphinx. It is not masculine at all. Like, that is a woman, giant woman to statue. Take it for what it's worth. It just is. I think it's a lion. Like, I think the head is reappropriate. I know that I'm not the first person to suggest that, but I felt that. Like, because the head is unproportional to the rest of the body, and it is weathered differently. So they think that a dynastic pharaoh came in and carved it to their likeness to be the head. But I think it was originally a lion head. So that's my take on that. Lions are weird. I'm not a big lion person. Like, I don't like, my niece loves lions. Like, that's her favorite animal at the zoo and all stuff. I mean, they're pretty, like, whatever. I've never been to Africa. I've never been to Safari. But so we went to this, I don't know, the temples all kind of run together. We went to this one temple, and there was this little like shrine within this, like, we weren't allowed to get back in it. And anyway, I thought to myself, ooh, I would like to go sit in that. So I had this dream. I'm on the Nile River, and in my dream, I go sit in the little temple that I wanted to within my dream. And this, like, lion being walks up to me, and she's Sekhmet. That's her name. And she's around. I've seen her on these temples. And she says, "Get up." And I was like, and I looked at her and I was like, no. and she like told me again to get up. And then I turned into a lion myself, but a bigger male lion, and one that I've been before in other dreams. And I, like, was towering over her, and she was kind of scared of me. And I said, I said something to the effect that, like, you've got some explaining to do, and you have to, like, answer for what you've done. And I thought, oh God, that was weird. And then I woke up, and I started looking into her more the next, who is this person? And yeah, she's like the god of war or something. So that was weird. So that happened when I was actually in Egypt. That was my only weirdest dream in Egypt. But then right when I got back from Egypt, like, probably I meditated in the Great Pyramid. We got to be inside the Great Pyramid for like about 2 hours. And I was even, like, charged all my crystals. It was super fun. I meditated inside the sarcophagus thing it's a box. It's not a sarcophagus, but I meditated inside of there for like about 10 minutes by myself in the King's Chamber, which I was like, it was super amazing and awesome and gorgeous. When I was like buzzing, my head was buzzing for days and days and days. And then when I got home, I got this dream where it was a magnet dream. Again, me and my magnet dreams. And it was a perpetual energy machine that they just showed me blueprints for. And so here, I'll put them up. But, like, the thing is like, I didn't have, like, there was no being or no entity or anything to talk to explain it. It was just like being walked through a silent film of just being shown how a machine, like, works and runs. And it was like this rotating magnet machine that was like chasing itself and creating like a perpetual spin. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. So I woke up in the middle of the night, like, wrote it down as fast as I could. And then the next 2 nights, are even harder for me to explain, but they were, you know, the Sumerian watch. Yeah, it's like we talked about that earlier in this thing. But yeah, like they were just showing me that those were magnetic cones that like go into some coil, and the whole thing moved on these people's wrist, and that was a machine for levitation. And both nights I was shown different aspects of it, but I still don't know like what like the coil was made of or what the other thing was made of. I don't know how they actually worked. I mean, I know that's what their function was, and I guess I could draw out a little bit of how I think that they worked, but I still feel like I'm a kindergartner, like in a senior level course that doesn't even have the vocabulary to understand.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, levitation with magnets, that just sounds very interesting. I'm going to look into that more. And this perpetual magnet idea, that's pretty cool for energy making or for constant energy, something to look into. I think that's great. You got to pick up these prophetic dreams, but especially it was just like, it started when it was, you know, when you were in Egypt, and then you kept having these dreams after. I don't know. Something's there. Something's definitely there.
Yeah. I mean, and these, like, I'm pretty good at, I can dream every night, and I'm pretty good at controlling my dreams in terms of being like, oh, I don't like this dream, change the channel, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I can't, like, when these kinds of dreams come, I can't control when they come or not. I just have to go along for the ride whenever I get the opportunity to get one. And they're different than regular dreams because there's no trouble remembering them, because they're like a different dimensional space than my normal dreams are. So like I definitely remember them right away, and I don't have a problem with that. It's just I'm not necessarily gifted them all the time.
So when you were there though, did you talk about magnets at all? Did any of the guides talk about magnets or any kind of energy moving? I mean, besides
energy moving, but nobody mentioned magnets. Yeah. But I mean, magnets are the answer. I think there's something in I mean, it's just amazing that they create like a force field, like a field you can feel with your fingers.
Right.
And then we haven't learned how to harness that.
Right. Yeah, not in a real true way. We have to a certain degree, but not. There's more to them. There's a lot of information missing. Potential isn't maximized.
We have some trains now that are run on them, and try like
exactly,
some fast trains. There's some roller coasters or whatever. But I'm saying like the planet should be run on them.
Yeah. No, there's something missing. We're not using them to its fullest potential. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's going to be your job. So when you're meditating in the King's Temple, what else did you do or feel, or what was that like? You said, I mean, that's a one in a lifetime experience. Not everybody that travels there gets to have that.
I don't know. I was intentionally trying to open a portal. That's what I was doing. And I don't know how to explain it, because it's like it was the most surreal feeling, because I just felt like I felt like my cells were further apart than they normally are. Like my whole body, I just felt expanded.
Oh.
The entire time I was in there.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you feel it like lighter?
Not necessarily. I felt bigger. I felt like I was
like amplified.
Yeah, I really did. And then I felt like I could have grown. Like I felt like I could have become a giant myself had I stayed in there long enough. Yeah.
And you saw something, didn't you? Isn't that where you saw like?
Yeah, when I was laying down in the sarcophagus, like I was meditating, and I opened my eyes, and like the granite on the ceiling of the king's chamber, there was like an Egyptian pharaoh type looking, like hieroglyphic type giant sculpture that almost like it like became like a relief in the granite, and then someone else came in the room and it went back in.
Oh, so it was like it was becoming 3-dimensional type of thing?
Yeah, it was almost like it was that sounds so dumb, but it was like it was starting to come out of the ceiling, and then I like my flow got interrupted and then it went back up.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so I don't know what that
Wow.
was.
It's just interesting how those pyramids really have, there's so much potential for people to feel them, and to like, if you had that experience where you felt like you were expanding, where people could actually go and like maybe feel or use what they were originally used for, which is some kind of energy, something, and like reactivate them, use them.
And it's weird because it's like I didn't even like, they even our tour guide asked us if we were feeling stuff, and I don't know, I just didn't say anything because I don't know, it's weird what we decide to share with people at the moment, you know.
Yeah. Did he share any stories about other people feeling things
I
after?
mean, he says that you'll be healed and your life will change. He like that, and he had lots of examples of people who had like cured cancers or some kind of weird sicknesses, or they completely started a new business and a completely different job. Like he says, it really changes people.
Cool.
I don't know, that's what he has experienced with other people that he's taken there. But
Yeah. I mean, but pyramids, the shape of pyramids, there's obviously something about them anyway, because there's so many of that structure of a pyramid all over the world. And just recently I went to this retreat place that was just like a cabins, and that was pretty much it. Cabins on a really nice piece of property, very meditative place. And they had these pyramids all throughout the property where you can go and meditate, and on the top of them was like this ball.
what are they made out of?
Wood. They're made out of wood, and then they have glass like on the sides. They're just like, you go in there and it's just like for meditation. It's not like an elaborate thing, but it is a pyramid, and there's a place to sit and meditate, and behind, like right behind where you would sit, is a plant, because plants grow better in pyramids, and I'm guessing they were trying to do an experiment. I did not ask. At the top of the pyramid they had like a round globe, like some of them, like the one I was in was either blue or clear. I think that one was like, sorry, it was like mirror, like a mirror thing, so you could like see your reflection in it, but it was all the way on the top. And then another one was like blue. And so I'm not really sure what the balls would do, but like when I went in there and I sat down, I could feel the vibration. I don't really know how to say like, oh man, like I could feel, but you could feel it. You could feel it if you tune into it. I just sat there and meditated, and like, I can't really describe it, but I could just feel like everything more intense. Every aspect of being in there was more intense. And I think that not everyone would be able to feel it. There are people that you can, if you're just tuned to it, you can, or maybe the timing or whatever it was. And the place itself was magical, but I just noticed that inside the pyramids, it was even that much more like just aware, just very, very clear. So there's something with pyramids anyway.
There are, I'm not, like with the Egyptian pyramids, I'm not 100% sure people were meant to be inside of them, because they felt like when you're going down the shafts and stuff, there was never stairs, there was never,
yeah,
like the rooms there was no decorating. I think they were machines, and I think the shafts were like for like somebody was going to go work on the machinery or something. But there was an interesting thing I found outside of the bent pyramid. There's a little, like, I don't know if you would call it a temple or what, but I'll show a picture. But there's I don't know, it was like a little doorway, and so like another little fix or like entrance way to the pyramid or something. But there, inside this one little doorway thing, there looks like a place where your head would go. And I felt like, for my intuition told me, like people would lay down there underneath the foot of this pyramid, and like energy from the pyramid would be shot to them.
That's interesting. Okay,
yeah.
So maybe that's how it worked.
Maybe that's how those particular ones worked. But yeah, but I don't know, because when I was inside the Great Pyramid, like I felt great. But you know, I mean, like I definitely felt like the whatever, the structure of my body was something was happening. Molecular. I can't even repeat how you just said that.
I think it's like molecule, no?
Molecule, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Molecular.
Molecular, yes. Like what Danielle just said. Structure of my body was going through something. It was changing.
Yeah, like a realignment or something. Maybe. I don't know. That's my guess, but who knows?
I mean, but thousands of people go in there, I would think. And although there is like a story of Napoleon going and spending the night in the king's chamber where I was alone for 2 minutes. And he, like, it's like, there's a whole book about it. It's called Napoleon's Year in Egypt. And he got like scared shitless. Like he never, like, he was white as a ghost when he came out, and he never told anybody what happened.
And how long was he in there?
Like he spent the whole entire night there in it by himself. So he was the only one in the pyramid.
Who knows? And it also depends on where your heart is. You know, like if you are a person that's like Napoleon and you're not afraid to like go to war and kill a lot of people, you probably have a different kind of aura and element and soul, and you know, like than a person that's just there with a different type of intention. But who knows? What do I know? And if you didn't spend a night there, you might have had a different or similar experience anyway. But in the King's pyramid, there are like things on the ceiling, so people were meant to go in there. Like that was for people.
But there's I mean, the ceiling, it's just like a giant granite room. There's no hieroglyphics or anything in it. Like it has that sarcophagus, they say, even though I don't think it was a sarcophagus because there was never anything found in it. But it does have that big granite box in it. And other than that, though, it's just.
I thought when you saw the thing coming at you, I thought it was already it was there and it was coming 3D. No,
it came at me out of nothing, out of just like.
Okay, so it was like a
smooth granite rock, yeah. And I was intentionally trying to open a portal, and it was starting to come out.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was doing that. But I thought I was going to do it anywhere in the world. Why not there, right?
Exactly. Well, then who knows? And what about your whole idea that the pyramids are up on top, but also the same size going down into the ground?
Oh, yeah. Good. Thanks for bringing that up. Because, you know, that was like one of my dreams with the Faraday cage that was made out of the aluminum pyramid. It had to be like a pyramid on top and a pyramid on bottom. So I can't remember the name. What is that? Hexagonalin or what? So when I went
like a
down,
diamond, kind of like
a big diamond. Yeah. So when I went down, hold on, because I have this right here. Oops. I have an example of that in the rock. These are my little fluoride ones I have. But yeah, so it's this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, so as above, so below.
Right.
And, or I have this one too. And,
nice.
Anyway, yeah. So the thing is that like, I went down the shaft all the way to the very bottom of the Great Pyramid, and I mean, I don't know. I don't care what map they show you, but like I felt like I went down as far as there was possible for there to go up. Like I went down to where like you could see the hole that went down to the water level. So like you're going down to, my intuition just told me that it is a pyramid on top and it is a pyramid on bottom. And like the angle at which I went and everything, I'm convinced within my own head that is what the case is with all of them.
So it was just like boom, like pushed into the ground. Like maybe it wasn't actually.
Yeah, or maybe they were built like they built them in the ground like that first and then did the top. I don't know, but
maybe. Or my thought was just like they pushed it into the ground. You know what I mean? Like who knows?
Or yeah, they're like get in there. I mean, they could have. I mean, I think these were like crazy magical creatures that did these. So I don't know. I mean, it does. I guess the ultimate conclusion of the entire thing for me is just like, dude, like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, we don't. That's pretty conclusive, at least.
Yeah.
We don't
but
know.
I will say the narrative you've been fed is just that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, they don't have the answers, so just we'll keep with this one. That's what we would have done. We would have forced slaves to make it. So that's therefore any other civilization would have done the same.
Exactly.
They're just like us.
Yeah,
Right.
their egos are so huge. They needed a mountain-sized tomb to rest
Right.
their bones in.
Exactly, that they would have never have been buried in their lifetime, because how long did it take to make?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. All the dates on any of that is just like, I'm not even listening to you because you're just
Right.
saying a bunch of. You're just like,
Right. It's like, so when did it start and when did it end? Right. And how long did it take to build this, and by whom, and with those big logs that they carried from where? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing is like the quarries, like the rose granite quarry is in Ashram, which is like a 12-hour drive from Cairo, south.
Crazy.
Well, you know, they just took those and they just put it on the Nile and they just floated it up. Yeah, okay. You're gonna put 2,400 pounds on the Nile. That's just
Right.
one obelisk stone. You're gonna do that and just move it like it ain't no thing.
Just
Sure.
decide to move it. And also, what was there geographically at the time? At the time that they're saying it was made, like, it probably wasn't desert, right? So if it was like jungle or
Yeah,
some
of course
other,
they don't
don't really
agree
know.
with that, but like I found, oh, these are all the rocks I brought from Egypt.
Wow, your suitcase must have been heavy.
Yeah, I know. I have issues with rocks. But like I found, let's see,
You're
I
like,
totally-
my cat brings us rocks every day.
like I found so many weird things that I felt like they were machines. Like,
Oh yeah. What is that?
well,
Where it looks, yeah.
the rock basically I thought it basically was telling me it was a machine, so I don't know. But yeah, tons of like there's lots of petrified wood and stuff all over the place on the
Wow.
ground. I found a lot of examples of petrified wood, and there was even a like little gas station we went to that had like some of the biggest petrified wood samplings I've ever seen out in that desert. So I think it was at one point a flourishing forest.
Yeah, well, if there was petrified wood there, that indicates there was wood.
You're like, that would do it. That
Yeah.
would.
Huh.
And look at, oh, and all of the temples are made with like this rose granite. And this is what the pyramids are basically made of. And it's got 13% crystal in it. And then, you know, you have your other conglomerate.
Well, that's interesting too, because the crystal has memory. So if we can kind of get the download of what the memory of the crystal is, then we can maybe get a better idea of what really went on there.
Yeah. I mean, this was like found at the Bent Pyramid, and this is mica schist.
Oh.
I don't know if you can tell in the video. I have some other little examples of the mica schisting. Anyway, mica schist it's like this is a mica schist piece. Mica schist is what like glitter or any of your like makeups are made out of. It's kind of, there's nowhere else in Egypt that it's found around there. So it covered the entire pyramid was covered with a sheet of mica schist, which like you can make solar cells out of mica schist. Like there's this little girl in New Mexico who made like a solar schist and copper
Solar panel.
Solar panel. Yeah. So I mean, like they were machines, and there was something amazing going on with them.
Well,
But yeah, everything there, like the rose granite and all that is yeah, there's a lot more to this than we think. I'm starting to begin to think like something super crazy, but I don't think this is natural. I'm wondering if the granite's natural.
Yeah, so that was like a mixture, like a
Yeah, like it, because it is like oddly
put together, right?
Oddly put together. Yeah, and like when you start looking at, I don't know, and I just like had this thought last night when I was just thinking about how like just there you don't see homogeneous stones anywhere. Like everything's so mixed together and found, and that's what I really do kind of feel like that the only way I think that rocks would be rolled all over the world in all different kinds, and like you can go to any field anywhere, go out your backyard, and you'll find different kinds. You'll find all kinds of different rocks that are different base stones and all that. And I think it's because it's like we really must have been under a giant flood or something. Like things had to get mixed up and pushed around in some way. And with the with the granite though, the way that these are so perfectly put together, and it is such like an interesting conglomerate in terms of like you have like the rose, you have like this darker like stuff that has almost like some kind of crystalline structure in it, and then you also have just like quartz crystal and some sort of like, I don't know, they're put together with just like some compacting heat, but to get that amount of it, and I don't know, I feel like it's not natural.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, what I was thinking of when you said that, I was like, well, maybe it was like a giant, maybe it was mixed on spot. Maybe it was actually mixed there. No, but you said it can, but those come from, but they come from.
I don't know, but there is a rose granite quarry in Aswan. I don't know if they can necessarily came from there. Like there's the other people are like, oh, there's like a quarry like 500 miles away from the Giza Plateau. I don't know. We didn't go there and hear. I mean, that's the other thing. You just hear, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like, well, they could have made it right there as a mixture if they were giants and mixing up like pretty much construction materials like you would use in a house that they could do it right on the spot.
But there was every statue in Egypt and every major temple, like on the ground before you would walk into the door, like there would be a giant rose granite block, like a big mega stone. Like our tour guide was saying that he thinks it like took out negative energy from people or something. I don't know, but I definitely think that there's some sort of significance to this stuff.
Well, it's rose quartz. You said it's quartz.
Rose granite.
It's rose granite. It's not rose quartz. Okay, because that would be like super cool. Well, for me, because I would be like, wow,
that's
rose
like your
quartz.
heart stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there is like little pieces of rose granite or rose quartz in it.
Rose quartz, yeah, and there's quartz in it too. The other thing is what made me think, like when you were talking, I was like, well, it came to my head about the DNA structure and how we're now like moving to align more like our crystalline structure. So we've got a regular DNA structure, and now we're integrating more like at a higher vibrational frequency, this crystalline structure. So that's what made me think of like the two types of or the different like conglomerates that are in that mixture could be kind of like a melding of the two the two different types of DNA structures. Just something that came to my mind. Not that that has to relate to anything, but it just was like, oh yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with.
Yeah, I wonder if it does too, because I mean, like it's got the like the dark stone, the light, like the dark, the white, and then like this pink color thing into it. So like, I don't know. I wonder if there is some sort of symbol meaning in its percentage of what it's made. Yeah, you could be onto something with that. You really could be.
Yeah, well, it could be. It's never ending, you know. It's like that's why it's the mystery, because you just have no idea.
I would be so satisfied, just give me 1 ounce of truth from the past.
Right.
Just one.
Exactly.
I don't know why from the past. Like, why not from the future? Why not now? I don't know. But I do think I just want to know what really happened here. Like, where are we from? What are we?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a question. Maybe part of the mystery is us just learning how to reuse it for ourselves. So it's there. All the information is there, or at least if it's not physically there, it's there in a crystalline memory. So it is there. The memory of it's there, even if it's not physically there. And so we're at this point in history again where we're like humans evolving or ascending or whatever we're doing. And maybe we can actually use that information little by little to actually help us get to the next level or to expand. So it's like, yeah, we just want to know, but we're going to have to figure it out for ourselves type of thing. We're going to have to like use our brains, use our bodies, use our soul, our whole, whatever it is we've got to use it to really know. It's kind of like the fun of it. Can't just be told like, okay, yeah, well, this is what happened, because we wouldn't believe it anyway. Even if someone said, no, this is definitely the truth, we'd be like, I'm not so sure I believe you. You know, we're doubters by nature.
It's true. Well, and it's even like, it's like they obviously knew how to move ginormous stones like it ain't nothing.
Exactly.
But, you know, we were pretty good with electricity. I don't know if they had that or not. They did have some temples with some stuff that looks pretty similar to light bulbs. But other than that, like, I mean, yeah, those were kind of interesting, kind of cool. So, but I don't think that like maybe they didn't figure out like how to do cars, or not that those are necessarily in the end that amazing of accomplishments, because look at what they've done to tear up our natural resources. But I'm just saying, like, there's I think there's entire fields of physics that we understand that maybe they didn't, and that they understood that we don't.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's probably true about anything. Yeah. Or at least to a degree, you know. I don't know. But that sounds about right. And if they were like no, I'm thinking of the Palladians, but no,
race or something.
Yeah, if they were the oh my goodness, the two civilizations that were
Lemurian and Atlanteans.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. But anyway, so if they were one of those or both of those civilizations at some point, like, you know, and like if the Atlanteans were more into technology and they had like a really, really advanced technology, and the Lemurians maybe had some kind of spirituality or understanding of the greater universe connection, then, and if they were at the same time, then maybe that's who the Egyptians were too, or the ancient Egyptians, or whoever was there. I don't even want to call them Egyptians, because I don't even think that that's correct.
Yeah.
But
well, actually, they do have in the hieroglyphs, they do have mention of Heliacropis, which our tour guide interpreted as Atlantis. Like, and he said that like basically they're referred to as like it's like another place where the advanced people came from.
So maybe if those were all mechanical things, and that was part of the Atlantis civilization, then it would kind of make sense that if they were really advanced in technology, then that may have been like part of where they were at. I don't know. And then the cataclysmic flood came along because they were too advanced and blew themselves up, or whatever. Something happened.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it's like part of me is like, I don't know if we went to Elephantine Island, and that was down south by Aswan, and it is I mean, he thinks that the Ark of the Covenant used to be hidden there, and that, well, basically our tour guide, his theory is that the Ark of the Covenant was a machine and it blew up, and that's why it is no more, and that's like that's what started the cataclysm. But I don't know if there's any merit to that or not. It's an interesting take I never thought of, but the thing is like it would be valuable to know whether or not this cataclysm, quote unquote, was self-induced or natural. Yeah, because we could be definitely headed in the same direction, but I don't know. I don't think, personally, I'm optimistic, so I don't think that we're going to go down that road again. Well, but even if it's not, maybe even if it's not self-induced, if it was just like, oh, hey guys, you should know every 26,000 years when the
poles shift,
or sun explodes, just a little thing it does.
Right. Right.
That's
which,
why we built underground cities all over the place.
right. Which you don't know about. So most of you are going to be wiped out, but the few elites will go down there. Right.
And that's the thing is, it's like, why are there all these underground cities? There's a lot of them. I didn't know that one. You gotta send me that thing about the South Africa one with the mine. Like, we gotta get.
Yeah, it was interesting because basically like this whole train disappeared. So we could, if you want to talk about that next time, we could do that. Like a train of gold disappeared that was being transported. And so it goes along this whole theory of, well, that much gold could not have been produced in the short amount of time that gold started being produced. So then where did it go to? There was no evidence. Like the whole thing just disappeared. Like it was on its tracks, on its way to another place, and it's gone. So was it like transmuted, like it's or was like, besides asking like what happened to it, where is it? Like, in addition to that, like, well, where did all this gold come from? And they couldn't have mined this much gold. And then there's all these connecting tunnels that seem to have even been covered up, or some of them still exist. And did that lead to an underground city? Did that lead to just more gold mines? Like, what was going on and who made them? So
well, that's my thing with the gold is like, dude, if you've ever gone gold panning, it's like torturous. Like you sit there with your little pan for like 18 hours and like doing this, and you maybe find like a little granular thing of gold, or if you like go to these gold mines and this and that. Like I've done some gold mine tours in like northern New Mexico, and
well, they say that most of them, they just don't have gold anymore because it's all been.
But like my thing is, it's like, the way that they used gold in the past, it was like, it ain't no thing. It was like, oh yeah, we're just making masks out of it, and little our cups we're gonna drink out of are gonna be gold. We're gonna be gold.
And like, why did we need so much gold? I don't even get it.
But even how did you even have that much gold to use? I mean, we don't even have it now.
Right, exactly.
It's
just all in the reserves and the mints under these.
Right.
Where is it?
Kentucky or whatever. Like you have like mountains of gold there for what?
Where are these mountains of gold? Are they just like big bars hidden? Like for what? Like it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. The whole gold thing is weird.
There's a lot of questions that. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, maybe we should think about what we're going to talk about next time, and also like. Before we do that, what else do you want to share about Egypt? Is there anything that you want to tell us, or something that you've remembered now? You definitely have to put up pictures, the video.
I'm gonna put a bunch of pictures and explain little things. I'll be inserting those as I talked. But yeah, like I just said, like I think ultimately the end thing I would say about Egypt is don't listen to what anybody says about it. Just like, someday before you die, whoever you are, like just go, and if you wait for Egypt to be peaceful, and you're gonna never go. Just go. Just pick a time to go, somewhat time. And even if you just go to Cairo and you just do Giza, like I went and did like, I don't know, tons. I went all the way down the Nile River and did like the cruise. That was cool. But even if you just do Cairo, even if you just see the big pyramids and the Sphinx and all that, I think that it's a valuable part of the story of humanity, and I feel like kind of getting to know your own self on what you think is going on or happening is just it's a human rite of passage. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'll put it on my list for sure. It's a place.
It should definitely be on your list, Danielle.
Yeah, thanks.
I think you know what. I think you should take Sabino for his high school graduation.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll put that. I'll start saving money now.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it'll be like, before you go off into the world. And now, like my last thing I have with you, I'm going to show you this.
I like that. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. But wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Till next time, guys.
Till next time. We'll see you.
All right. Bye.